Hi there, my name's Alejandro Gonzalez, and I'm one of the 3 Adobe specialists here at the University of Arizona. And today we're going to be exploring how to create a graphic in Express from a custom template that was created by me. You can also use any templates available in Express or start from scratch. But this particular use case is maybe you're an instructor and you want to give your students a really easy starting point. So you send the link to your library and they can jump in, remix, redesign, and add their own content and personality to it. All right, let's jump in here. On our Express resource page, if you were to scroll down, you'll find part 2, graphics, and right here is a link to the library where the template lives. So if I click that, I will see my Adobe Express library, Adley 2023. Apparently there's this cool skateboard guy in here too, but we're gonna use Bio Adley 2023, and you just click Create From. And what this does is it makes a copy in your own Express project folders using this template as a starting point. I'm gonna wait a moment here. And Express is a web-based app, so you just need a browser and an internet connection. There are also really great mobile versions for tablets and smartphones where you can do nearly everything that you can on the desktop version. And sometimes there's little tools and features that are only mobile. So it's definitely worth checking out. It's like the 2 teams sometimes don't catch up to each other. Okay, so here's what we're making today as kind of our first artifact of this institute. And we thought, why not just do some form of an icebreaker, get to know each other, and make a biographic. So here we see the entire Express workspace, the graphic workspace. The left-hand side, we have templates, inspiration, how to add text, images, basic shapes, design assets, which are like little cutout collage pieces, backgrounds, if you've built some logos, and you have your libraries here as well. If you've put any of your personal assets into a library, you can quickly find them there. Above, we can see our opportunity to rename this. I might put Alejandro G Bio 2023. Big favor you can do for yourself is to name things accordingly. And it saves as we work, so that's always nice. If we continue across the top, we have our view. We can fit, fill, percentage, or we can zoom in and out using one of my favorite keyboard shortcuts. If you're on a Mac, it's Command plus and minus. If you're on a PC, it's Control plus and minus. So if we see this, so it's nice to zoom in and really get in there. And they didn't list this one, but Command or Control 0 is fit to your window so you can see the whole thing. And for whatever reason, I like to have it slightly smaller when I'm seeing the whole thing. I get a better judgment of the composition. So we've been looking at the canvas now, the design space, where we have a rectangle of some sort where we can put graphics, text, images, and that's about it. And if anything goes outside of that rectangle, it gets cropped. And excuse my notifications. Whoops. Okay. Underneath here, you can see you can actually do multi-page designs. So if you want to play around with that, you can duplicate it and make a different version all on the same space, which is kind of useful. And this is how to view them all at the same time, but we're not going there yet. So left-hand side is the stuff we put into our design. Middle is the design itself. Over here on the right-hand side is how we manipulate and customize elements on our design. And this little stack down here is our layer stack. So if I open this up, you can see this has quite a few layers. And if I were to grab this desert picture and move it above, you would see that the layers are the order of your layers is very important. So another favorite keyboard shortcut, Command or Control Z. You can also just hit undo up here or redo. The right-hand side, we're going to explore as we go and remix this template. So I think the easiest part to start from is to change this picture. That's not me. He looks much more fun and handsome than I, so I don't want to mislead people. So I'm going to click on the image, and when I do that and I go to the right hand side, my menu says edit image. If I were to click on the name, it would say edit text. So let's start with the image. I click there, and I'm going to say replace. And I can choose from all these Adobe stock images, or I can upload my own image, which is what I'm going to do. On my desktop, I have a folder called Adly Bio, which is where I put all of my images for this. I have my guy, me and my guy again, and some cactus. That's me in a nutshell. Let's get me and my son Judah in there. Now, if I want to zoom in here, what I actually want to do is change the crop. So I'm not going to start grabbing these handles because that's just resizing the image. Command Control Z to undo. I'm going to go over here on the right hand side and find the crop and shape button. And here I can grab the picture, I think. Do I just pull it up? Now I can't remember. Oh no, it's right here. So right here is the scale slider. You can just slide this up, and then you can grab and move the picture around. You can see I get a little confused sometimes. You can also rotate here if it feels slightly crooked. And you can click in this box, I think, and put the arrows up and down to kind of do it more precisely. And then this is the actual crop itself that you can bring in or out, but I liked where that was. So again, my slider to resize is here, and my slider to rotate is here, and I can just grab the image and move it around on the inside. If I am happy with my picture, I can hit the check mark. If I feel like I just got really lost in there, I can hit the X and start over. So check mark. You might also notice that there's an opportunity here to remove the background. It has an automatic background removal tool, which is super handy and works surprisingly well, especially if you consider how complex that background was. But in my opinion, the background is a really interesting part of my image, so I'm going to keep it. So here I went and replaced the image and scaled it up. I also have effects down here where if I want to add some filters, if I wanted it to be black and white, it's kind of like your Instagram filters. I don't really want to filter. You can also make enhancements, which I might just call adjustments. There's contrast, brightness, saturation, all that good stuff. And you can even blur it. The blur tool is a nice one for more of a aesthetic background image where you want it to kind of hint at what it is, but not take away from your text and other graphics. Okay, so that's how you change an image. Now let's go here where it says person. That's not my name. If I click the text, on the right-hand side, it says edit text, and over here is where you type. So sometimes this is a little bit of a learning curve for people. If you double click here, you're not gonna see the text on the design itself. You change it over here on the edit menu. So I would put my name, Alejandro. I'm gonna be fancy and put the accent. All right, now we see my name came up. I can resize it here on the right-hand side if I want. I can choose a text, font size, or I can just grab these handles and shrink it down and then line it back up. And if you notice, as you move things around, you get these little blue segmented guides that let you know if you're lining it up with the center of something or at the same height. So this right now is centered with my picture and aligned with the top of that white rounded rectangle. All right, looks like I spelled my name right. I would take this moment if I was working on this, and if you are and you will be, to maybe choose a font that you might identify with better. I don't know. Whoa, that's too chunky. You can also scroll down and see these variations, these font recommendations, if you want to experiment, if you want to visualize it a little more quickly. So I think that's a really fun feature to play around with. Make it a little bigger. And I ended up choosing Feltro Texture 2. What a great font. Then down here, I need to put my title. Adobe specialist. Guess I'll put lead. Now here's something that happened. It decided to make it 3 lines instead of 1, and I can correct this by just grabbing this handle and pulling it straight down until it's 1 line, straight down and out. And there I am. And I probably want the same font, so I'm going to go over here to the font, and I think it should show up. Well, I guess not. Usually the fonts that are currently being used show somewhere, but I used Feltro Texture 2. Looks good. I'm happy enough. So I've already gone and seen a lot of the editing that you can do, just replacing images, cropping them, and replacing your text and everything like that. I'd like to show how I got these fancy little banners behind the text. And if you look here on the right hand side, under effects, we have shape. And if I open this up, you can see I have it turned on. I have the shape color as this kind of off-white. And right here is where I can choose my shape. And you'll find all of these other shapes available to you. Which is pretty nice. You can also find a drop shadow if you want, which causes problems with this situation. You can put an outline or a border on the text, which again, I don't think elevates my design. But it also decides to take the opacity down, so you can see the opacity of the little banner there. So it's something to experiment with. Now, these images kind of already represent me, but let's go ahead and just delete them. I clicked on them and deleted them. The idea of this biography is we just want to know a little bit about you. We'll put your image, your name, your title. You can be as short or detailed as you want about it. We'll write a short statement about why we're on campus. Maybe list your favorite Adobe application. If you don't have favorite Adobe applications, maybe you could talk about your favorite multimodal mode. So do you prefer video, graphic, audio, web, anything like that? Your interests, your background, which is to say, how'd you end up here? So I would talk about maybe my education and some of my career. But again, what you want to share is what you can put and why you're here. And again, we put this, feel free to edit these questions to fit your needs because ultimately we want you to tell us about you. Okay, so up here, I thought it would be nice to put some images that represent me and my hobbies. I also would like to change my background image here, which if you actually look, it's just a regular image that's been resized, and my background is just a solid cyan, not quite cyan. So this image of the desert, when I click on it, you can see it really has only had one thing done to it, which the opacity was taken down. So if I take it up, I guess kind of interesting. It's kind of a nice desert picture, but because one of my interests is collecting cacti, I'm going to replace this image and upload one of my own images, which is of these cacti here. And I also think under crop and shape, I would like to rotate it. I'm trying to remember what this image looked like. Let's go look at it on my desktop. So it's vertical. All right, lots of Areocarpus here. I need to size it down a little bit. And I think there's just an easier way of doing this. Okay, I don't really like what it did. It cropped it to the shape of the original one. So I'm gonna delete it and just upload a photo. So I'm gonna go to Photos on the left-hand side, Upload, and choose this one. And then that way I can see it in its original way, and I can just rotate it right here and then resize it. And I think this is a nice thing to see because we're also going to move it to the very bottom, right above the background. I think that's pretty good. And if I click here where it says layer order, I can say go to the very bottom, or I can move down one at a time. Let's just go to the bottom. Okay. Looks a little busy. I'm gonna try taking the opacity down a little bit. Am I still on there? Yeah, I am. And maybe I'll try a little bit of blur too. We talked about this. Maybe just like a blur of 1. And maybe we'll try a filter. Interesting. You can lose a lot of time playing around with these filters. So I don't think you need to watch me do that. So now what's left is I wanted to put a few images up here that kind of represent my interests. So let's grab one from the design assets area. I really like cacti, so let's look up a cactus, although I'm not going to be happy with the images. That's okay. Let's just put a prickly pear pad in here. So if I click that, it drops it in here, and you'll notice it's its own cutout image already. Just drop it here, rotate it. And then let's say instead of using something that's already in Express, I want to put in an image of my sun with the background cut out. I'm going to go to Photos, Upload, and I think I want this one. This like sassy guy. So let's open it. And there he is. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to do Remove Background. Pretty good. I'll hit the check mark to accept, and I'll put this guy a little smaller. Maybe I'll rotate him. Maybe even smaller. There we go. Now this prickly pear looks a little weirdly big, and I'm just gonna make like this little pile behind him because he's a cool dude. So I'm gonna put another cactus in there. Upload a photo, get this cactus, and remove background. Oh, oops. You might have noticed that I clicked remove background, but I have that prickly pear selected. So now I have to wait for it to be confused about that. Take a coffee break. Let's hit cancel. Let's take the background off the Scopiapoa. And I'll be pretty impressed if it keeps some of those spines, but I won't be disappointed if it doesn't. You can see, I mean, I'm a little disappointed, but that's okay. I can also, it cut out parts of the cactus where those spines were, thinking they were something else. So I'm gonna click this restore button and just paint in here a little bit so that it at least doesn't have holes in it. Although that could be interesting. All right, and we'll call it good enough. So these are things you used to need Photoshop for, but now you can just hang out here. And I don't want it in front of him, so I'm gonna go click on the image, go to this layer order and move it down till it's behind him. And I also love mountain biking. Let's see what we can find under photos. Let's search mountain bike. Ooh, pretty cool. These might be too cool. All right, let's see what happens. Maybe we can select this guy that's getting really rad. I'll click on it and remove background. And I might have to do a little, well, that's kind of fun. I'm gonna keep it because now I have this fun little collage, and we can just pretend that's me on the mountain bike. I don't even know if I can do wheelies anymore. There. All right, I've got this little collage element at the top. And then what I would do, and what you will do, is take a moment to fill out these parts of the text. So for example, let me pause and get this going here. All right, I just went and copied the text from another element, another project. So you can type it or you can copy and paste. I click on the short statement element, and then I go on the right-hand side, and I will just select all of this and press Command or Control V. And now it says Alejandro and his team at the University Center for Assessment, Teaching, and Technology have a shared mission to all that good stuff. Maybe stretch it out a little bit so it's filling this out. And if I wanted to make it a little bigger, I could do that. So then I would put my favorite Adobe applications, which are going to be Photoshop, Express, and XD. That's not really true. My actual favorite is Lightroom classic. So I guess I put 4. That's okay. My hobbies are, so I clicked on here, hobbies underneath. My hobbies are cactus, cultivation, photography, mountain biking, and hanging out with my son, Judah. Nice. So maybe I should have put a camera up there, but that's okay. My background. So I'll make this a list. Freelance photographer. 12 years. High school. CTE. Teacher. BFA. Studio art. MED. I always think that sounds like I have a medical degree. And educational leadership. All right. And why did I sign up for this? I didn't sign up. It's my job, but let's go ahead and do that anyway. And it seems to be stuck. There we go. It was saving, so sometimes just give it a second. I love inspiring and helping others in their creative journey and the adoption of, capitalize it, digital literacy. Very cool. So now I might take a moment to just grab these and have them spaced out a little better, because it doesn't, they're all their own text elements. And this would also be an opportunity to maybe choose fonts and colors that you like more, and really make it your design. You can really take and move everything around. So what I'm doing right now is I'm holding Shift and selecting each of these little text boxes because I want them all to be aligned to the left. And if you look here, when you select multiple elements, you can do align left. So now they're all aligned, and then I'm just gonna move them over here. I would say this is almost done. I'm gonna click on my website, Arizona. My website is adobe.arizona. Our Instagram handle is Adobe Arizona, I think. Boy, I hope. And our email is Adobe, well, I'll just put my email, alexgg@arizona.edu. If I really wanted to get wild with this, I might explore like these shapes, seeing if I want to keep things like this and just start moving things around. But sometimes it's nice to just get all your copy and content laid out and then start seeing what would make you happier with your final product. It has been saving the entire time that I've been working. If I'm ready to share this out, to print it, to post it to my portfolio page, then what I would do is go to download, and I can download, usually I prefer a JPEG if it's mostly photographic, and then I use a PNG if it's mostly text and illustrations and graphics. And then you can start your download, and it will give you a nice high resolution version of your project. One more way to share is to share and actually publish a hyperlink of this. So if I copy this link, I guess it already had one. Interesting. Then it creates a simple link that I could just email or text to somebody, and they click on it and it opens it up in their web browser, which, you know, saves you attaching files and them needing an image viewing program or anything like that. So there's my image, and then people can even say, wow, I appreciate this. And that's really the gist of it. So Express can be a lot of fun. If you want to keep adding other elements, you can click these elements. Like if I want more text, there are little inspirational text bits, or you can just add a text box here. And there it is. If you want to add other shapes, like I found this rounded rectangle, it was under basic shapes, and you can, so maybe I want to just add a rectangle. You can drop I just click on it and it drops it in there. And then if you grab this, you can click on it, you can resize, you can change the proportions. And on the right-hand side, you have your fill and your border. If you don't want a border, turn that off. There are lots of other neat things that you can do, but for now, the goal is to get comfortable with the basics and see what questions arise. So thank you so much for your work, and I hope this was helpful and enjoyable.